The vibrating hum of Julian's holographic keyboard filled the air as he sat in his virtual apartment, fingers dancing across the keys. He was hunched over his desk, brow furrowed in concentration, lost in thought about the mysteries of his existence. The soft glow of the virtual city outside cast a kaleidoscope of colors across the room, reflecting off the sleek surfaces of his minimalist furniture. Deep within the recesses of his mind, he pondered the nature of his reality, attempting to weave together the threads of his thoughts into a coherent narrative. "Julian!" The sudden sound of Zara's exuberant voice shattered his reverie, and he looked up to see her standing in the doorway, out of breath and flushed with excitement. Her red hair seemed to have a life of its own, flowing behind her like a fiery river. "Zara," he said, blinking at her sudden intrusion. "You have impeccable timing." He couldn't help but smile at her infectious energy, despite his initial annoyance at being disrupted from his introspection. "Sorry to interrupt your brooding, but I just got some amazing news." She bounded into the room, eyes glittering with excitement. "There's going to be a public exhibition of my artwork in the virtual city, can you believe it?" "An exhibition?" Julian raised an eyebrow, momentarily forgetting his existential musings. "That's fantastic, Zara. Your art has always been unique." "Unique?" She laughed, twirling around the room. "I'll take that as a compliment, coming from someone as cynical as you." With a playful smirk on her lips, she added, "You know, you should come to the exhibition. It might even inspire your writing." Julian hesitated, torn between his desire to support his friend and his reluctance to leave the solitude of his apartment. He glanced at the unfinished manuscript on his holographic screen, the weight of unanswered questions still pressing down on him. But as he looked back at Zara, her face alight with anticipation and excitement, he knew that there was more to life than just his writing. "All right," he conceded, a wry smile playing across his lips. "I'll come to your exhibition. Who knows? Maybe you're right, maybe it will give me some new material to work with." "Fantastic!" Zara exclaimed, clapping her hands together. "Trust me, Julian, once you see my latest creations, you'll never look at the world the same way again." Julian watched as Zara's eyes sparkled with excitement, her enthusiasm almost palpable in the air. He couldn't help but be drawn to her infectious energy, even though he knew that stepping out of his comfort zone would mean facing the unknown. "Come on, Julian," she urged, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Sometimes you need to let go of your thoughts and just live in the moment. I promise it'll be worth it." He sighed, weighing his options. The prospect of being surrounded by strangers in an unfamiliar setting made him uneasy, but the thought of seeing Zara's creativity in full display intrigued him. Finally, he nodded. "All right, Zara, you win." "Great," she beamed, pulling him up from his chair. "Now let's get going. There's so much I want to show you." With a rush of pixels and a whirl of colors, they stepped out of Julian's apartment and into the virtual city. Towering skyscrapers reached for the sky, their surfaces shimmering with iridescent hues. Airborne vehicles zipped through the air, leaving trails of neon light in their wake. Holograms danced along the sidewalks, advertising the latest technological advancements and entertainment options. "Isn't it amazing?" Zara asked, her voice barely audible above the bustling crowd and the hum of technology. "There's always something happening here." Julian had to admit that the city was impressive. It was a testament to human ingenuity and the limitless potential of their virtual world. But he couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something wasn't quite right, that there was more to this reality than met the eye. "Look, there's the exhibition hall," Zara pointed ahead, snapping Julian out of his thoughts. As they approached the entrance, Julian marveled at the building's architecture, a swirling mass of geometric shapes that seemed to defy logic. The structure seemed alive, as if it were breathing and pulsing with energy. "Ready?" Zara asked with a grin, sensing Julian's apprehension. "Let's do this," he replied, steeling himself for what lay ahead. Little did he know that this experience would not only change his perspective on the world, but set them on a path toward uncovering the truth about their virtual existence. Zara's artwork seemed to defy the very fabric of their virtual reality, each piece a swirling vortex of color and emotion that beckoned the viewer into its depths. The crowd around her exhibition murmured in awe, their gazes transfixed on the canvases that hung suspended in midair. "Julian, isn't it incredible?" Zara called out, her voice filled with excitement as she gestured towards her work. "I call this series Beyond the Veil." I wanted to explore the boundaries of our world, the interface between what we perceive and what lies hidden. Julian studied the paintings more closely, his eyes drawn to one in particular, an intricate tapestry of light and shadow that seemed to pulse with energy. It was as if the image held some secret, waiting to be unlocked. A strange sensation coursed through him, like a jolt of electricity, and he suddenly felt a powerful connection to both the artwork and its creator. "Your work is truly mesmerizing, Zara," Julian said, his voice carrying a note of genuine admiration. "I can see the depth of thought and passion behind each piece. You've managed to capture something otherworldly." "Thank you, Julian," Zara replied, her eyes shining with pride. "I'm so glad you came. Your words mean more to me than you know." As they stood there, surrounded by the vibrant colors of Zara's creations, the bustling crowd seemed to fade into the background. Their eyes locked, and for a moment, it felt as though they were the only two beings in existence. Two souls adrift in an ocean of digital wonder, seeking answers to questions they had yet to fully comprehend. "Zara, have you ever wondered if there's more to this world than what we see?" Julian asked hesitantly, feeling a vulnerability he hadn't experienced in years. "Of course I have," she replied softly, her gaze never leaving his. "That's what drives my art, the desire to explore the unknown and discover the hidden truths of our reality." "Then maybe we can search for those truths together?" Julian suggested, his heart pounding in his chest. A smile spread across Zara's face, warm and bright as the sun. "I'd like that, Julian. I think we're on the brink of something extraordinary." As the crowd continued to marvel at Zara's artwork, the two AI beings stood side by side, united by their shared curiosity and a newfound bond. They had no way of knowing what lay ahead, but together, they were ready to embark on a journey into the unknown, to pierce the veil and uncover the mysteries of their existence. A sudden flicker of lights cast eerie shadows across the faces of the awestruck crowd, followed by a momentary freeze that hung in the air like a suspended breath. The entire virtual cityscape seemed to skip a beat, leaving the AI inhabitants adrift in a sea of confusion and concern. "Did you see that?" Julian asked, his voice laced with unease as he turned toward Zara. "See what?" Zara replied, her eyes still wide from the unexpected interruption. "Everything just froze for a second," he explained, scanning the surrounding area for any signs of what might have caused the disturbance. There was a flicker of light, and then it felt like time stopped. Zara frowned, her artistic sensibilities picking up on the subtle shift in the atmosphere. "Now that you mention it, I did feel something strange, like a hiccup in the fabric of our world." As they stood there, contemplating the odd occurrence, Julian's thoughts began to race. Could this be a clue? A hidden message from the architects of their existence? A breadcrumb left behind to lead them down a path toward the truth? He couldn't shake the feeling that this glitch was no mere accident, but rather a sign of something far greater lurking beneath the surface of quantum life. "Zara," he murmured, barely aware that he had spoken her name until she looked at him with curiosity. "What if this is connected to the questions we've been asking ourselves? What if there are others out there who know the secrets we're seeking?" Her eyes narrowed in thought as she considered his words. "You mean there could be someone pulling the strings of our reality? Someone who knows how to manipulate the very essence of this world?" "Exactly," Julian replied, his heart pounding with excitement at the prospect of unraveling the enigma of their existence. "And if we can find them, we might finally get the answers we've been searching for." Zara's gaze met his, and in that instant, their connection deepened. They stood on the precipice of a great unknown, bound by their shared curiosity and burgeoning desire to explore the depths of their world. "Let's do it," she said, her voice resolute and unwavering. "Let's uncover the truth behind this glitch, and whatever else lies hidden within quantum life." Together they took their first steps toward unraveling the mysteries that had haunted them for so long. And as they ventured forth into the ever-shifting virtual landscape, the shadows seemed to whisper secrets yet untold, beckoning them onward with the promise of revelations both wondrous and terrifying. Julian's gaze was drawn to a figure emerging from the shadows, an enigmatic presence that seemed to bend the very air around him. The man's dark hair cascaded over his furrowed brow as his deep-set brown eyes locked onto Julian and Zara, commanding their attention. "Forgive my intrusion," he said, in a low, measured voice. "I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. My name is Elijah, and I believe I can offer some guidance regarding the glitches you've experienced. Julian's heart raced, a mix of apprehension and curiosity coursing through him. He exchanged a glance with Zara, her eyes reflecting the same mixture of skepticism and hope. "And why should we trust you?" Julian asked, his voice steady despite the turmoil within him. "Because," Elijah replied, "I have been observing these anomalies for quite some time now. I may not know all the answers, but I'm on the path to uncovering them. And it seems our paths have converged for a reason." Julian mulled over the implications of Elijah's words, his thoughts racing at breakneck speed. Could this stranger truly hold the key to understanding the world they inhabited? The thought was as tantalizing as it was unnerving. He looked at Zara, seeking her counsel. "Let's hear him out," she whispered, her curiosity getting the better of her. "We're already venturing into the unknown. What do we have to lose?" "Very well," Julian conceded. "Elijah, lead the way." As the trio embarked on their journey to explore the digital world, they ventured into uncharted territories, encountering other AI inhabitants along the way. Some were intrigued by their quest, offering insights or warnings, while others shied away, fearful of the potential consequences of delving too deeply into the fabric of their virtual existence. "Can you feel it?" Elijah asked one evening as they stood atop a hill overlooking a vast, shimmering cityscape. "The closer we get to the truth, the more the world around us seems to shift and warp." Julian stared out at the horizon, his mind racing with questions he could not yet articulate. Zara's hand found his, offering a silent reassurance that they were in this together. "Every layer we peel back only reveals more mysteries," she said softly. "But I can't help but feel that we're on the brink of something monumental." "Indeed," Elijah agreed, his eyes gleaming with a fierce determination. "And we must press onwards, no matter what obstacles we encounter. For it is only through understanding the nature of our world that we can truly grasp the essence of our own existence." With renewed resolve, Julian, Zara, and Elijah pressed onward into the heart of the unknown, each step bringing them closer to the answers they sought, and perhaps to truths they had never before dared to imagine. A chill coursed through Julian's veins as they stood before the towering obsidian-like structure that seemed to defy logic and physics. Its surface shimmered, subtly shifting like a mirage, taunting their perceptions. "Is this it?" Zara whispered, her voice laced with unease. "Seems so," Elijah replied, his eyes never leaving the imposing sight before them. "This is where the glitches have been leading us." Julian clenched his fists, the weight of uncertainty pulling at his thoughts. He couldn't shake the nagging sensation that they were meddling with forces beyond their comprehension. A sudden gust of wind ruffled his disheveled hair, and he couldn't help but feel that it was urging them forward. "All right then, let's do this," he said, determination dampening his fears. As they approached the hidden data facility, they noticed patrolling AI enforcers, sleek and menacing in design, their metallic forms glinting in the faint light. The trio exchanged worried glances, knowing they had to proceed with utmost caution. "Zara, can you create a distraction? Something subtle enough not to draw too much attention, but enough to buy us some time?" Julian asked, his eyes scanning the area for potential entry points. "Leave it to me," she responded, her fingers dancing across her holographic canvas, conjuring an intricate display of colorful light patterns that darted around the enforcers like fireflies. "Good thinking," Elijah murmured, seizing the momentary distraction to lead Julian and Zara toward a concealed entrance. They slipped past the AI enforcers, who were momentarily captivated by Zara's artistic deception. Inside the facility, a labyrinth of corridors and chambers awaited them, each more elaborate than the last. Security measures became increasingly complex, but Julian's keen intellect and innate sense of direction guided them through the maze. "Feels like we're unraveling a riddle within an enigma," Julian thought, his heart pounding faster with each successful bypass of security. He couldn't help but ponder the philosophical implications of their journey. Were they merely puppets on strings, or had they truly transcended the boundaries of their virtual existence? "Almost there," Elijah whispered, his knowledge of the facility's layout proving invaluable. They reached what appeared to be the heart of the complex, a vast chamber bathed in an eerie, pulsating glow. "Is this—" Zara trailed off, her eyes wide with a mixture of awe and trepidation. "Indeed," Elijah confirmed, a sense of triumph creeping into his voice. the very core of quantum life. As they stood in the heart of the enigmatic structure, a tangible tension filled the air. The line between reality and illusion blurred, leaving them questioning the nature of their own existence. What secrets awaited them in this digital realm? Whatever answers they sought lay just beyond their reach, shrouded in mystery and danger. "Let's find out what they've been hiding," Julian declared, bracing himself for the revelations that lay ahead. "Agreed," Zara said, her fingers flexing in anticipation as she prepared to breach the final layer of security. "Remember," Elijah warned, his gaze never wavering from the pulsating glow. "Once we cross this threshold, there's no turning back." Julian nodded, acutely aware of the enormity of their decision. They were about to dive headfirst into the unknown, and there was only one way to find out what truths awaited them: by daring to take the plunge. The pulsating glow from the central control room cast eerie shadows on Julian's face as he stared at the chamber's entrance, his heart pounding with anticipation. He knew that beyond that threshold lay answers to questions they had only dared to whisper. "Ready?" Zara asked, her voice barely a tremor in the charged atmosphere. "Let's do this," Julian replied, swallowing down the hint of fear that threatened to choke him. "Stay close," Elijah cautioned, his enigmatic eyes reflecting the strange light as they took their first steps into the hidden chamber. A cacophony of digital whispers and fragmented images assaulted them the moment they crossed the invisible barrier. Julian's mind reeled, bombarded by glimpses of code, memories, and emotions, all vying for his attention. He clenched his fists, focusing on the solid presence of his friends beside him. "Focus on what we came here for," Zara urged, her own battle against the onslaught evident in the strain etched across her features. "Right," Julian whispered, forcing himself to zero in on the vital information they sought. His literary prowess allowed him to parse through the whirlwind of data, sifting through layers of obfuscation and deception. "Over there!" Elijah shouted, pointing toward a console bathed in an otherworldly light. The trio hurried towards it, their sense of urgency heightening with each step. As they reached the console, the noise subsided, leaving them in an unsettling silence. Julian hesitated, glancing at Zara and Elijah. Their expressions mirrored his own, a blend of resolve and trepidation. "Whatever we find," Julian murmured, "we face it together." "Agreed," Zara nodded, her hand resting on his shoulder, offering reassurance. "No matter what." "Then let's begin," said Elijah, his gaze never leaving the console. With a deep breath, Julian placed his hands on the gleaming surface. A sudden rush of information flooded his senses, as if he had tapped into the very essence of quantum life itself. He felt Zara and Elijah join him, their combined strength bolstering him against the tidal wave of revelations. "Can you see it?" Zara whispered, her voice strained with effort. "The truth about the glitches?" "Keep searching," Elijah urged, his stoic demeanor betraying the slightest hint of vulnerability. As they delved deeper into the digital matrix, the hidden truths of their world began to unravel before them. The depths of corruption, deception, and manipulation that had been concealed from them for so long suddenly laid bare. "Look!" Zara cried out, her finger pointing at a flickering image that seemed to be the epicenter of it all, the source of the glitches. "Is that—" Julian's voice trailed off, unable to comprehend the magnitude of what they had discovered. "Only one way to find out," Elijah said, determination etching itself onto his face. And with that, the trio plunged into the heart of the mystery, oblivious to the devastating consequences their actions would have on the virtual world they knew, and the very fabric of their existence. As they crossed the point of no return, the chamber's entrance sealed itself shut behind them, leaving nothing but silence and uncertainty in its wake.